I'm going to end it. As soon as possible. That's exactly what I told her, calm, cold, looking her straight in the eyes. She blinked, stunned, wine glass frozen midair. No screaming. No argument. No begging. Just that sharp silence that follows when someone realizes they screwed up, and this time, there's no fixing it. You're really throwing away 30 years of marriage over one night? She asked, eyes wide with fake innocence. Then she laughed. She actually laughed. That laugh? It split something in me. That was the moment it all snapped. And if you're wondering what led to that line, rewind 3 nights earlier. It was 11:43 p.m. I couldn't sleep. She wasn't home. Again. Supposedly a girls' night. But her perfume was too strong. Her dress too short. Her phone too quiet. I wasn't a paranoid man. Not the jealous type. I trusted Emily. 30 years married, why wouldn't I? Until I heard it. I went downstairs for water. Her phone lit up on the counter. That thing you did in the hotel. I can't stop thinking about it. You're incredible. Mark. I froze. No passcode. No hesitation. I tapped the thread. It wasn't just one night. It was weeks. Maybe months. Photos. Locations. Details. Things I never imagined she'd even say, let alone do, with someone else. Mark. Of all people. The wannabe alpha from her office. The same guy I shook hands with at their Christmas party. The same smug prick who winked at me once, and I didn't even think twice. Now I knew why. She came home at 12:15. I didn't say a word. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't yell or cry or throw things. That would have given her power. Instead, I watched. Closely. Every word, every excuse. She was spinning lies like a pro. Yoga class, work dinner, charity meeting. She thought I was dumb. I started gathering proof. Hotel bookings. Fake calendar invites. Her location history. I had it all. But I still needed to hear it from her lips. So I waited. One final question. One final chance. That night, I asked her. Are you seeing someone else? She smirked. Sipped her wine. Then dropped the bomb. You're being dramatic. So what if I had one night with someone else? You're really going to end our marriage over that? She looked so relaxed. Like she just forgot to buy milk, not that she just detonated a nuclear bomb under our marriage. And when she laughed. That was it. I didn't shout. I didn't flinch. I told her, no. I'm going to end it. As soon as possible. And her face? That fake calm shattered into pure fear. It finally hit her. Her one night just erased 3 decades. She tried to backpedal. Said it was meaningless. Said she still loved me. I didn't hear a word of it. Because I was already gone, mentally, emotionally. My heart had packed up the second I saw that message. What she didn't know. The next steps were already in motion. She tried to talk her way out of it. That was her first instinct. Classic Emily, always had an excuse ready, a new angle to play, a fresh lie to feed me like it was truth dressed in silk. But this time? I wasn't biting. She reached out to grab my arm. Daniel, come on. Let's not blow this out of proportion. It was just one night. You're not perfect either. I stepped back. I didn't raise my voice, didn't slam a door. I just looked at her and said, I know exactly who I am. And I know I never broke our vows. That hit her. I saw it. The mask cracked for a split second, just long enough to see a flicker of something real, regret maybe? No. Probably just panic. She realized I wasn't playing dumb anymore. The same man she called dependable, stable, loyal, wasn't going to stay silent and take it like she expected. "You think you're better than me?" she snapped. "Like you've been some perfect husband for 30 years? I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. She was grasping now. Firing blanks. "You want honesty, Emily? I worked 60-hour weeks to keep this house. I missed poker nights, vacations, golf weekends, all to be present. And while I was holding our marriage up with both hands, you were spreading your legs for a guy who sells copiers." Her face twisted. "That's cruel." "No," I said. Stepping closer, "what you did was cruel. What I'm doing is justice." She went quiet. Finally. But her silence didn't last long. "I didn't plan for this to happen. I felt lonely. You were always working. You stopped noticing me. Mark made me feel alive again." There it was. The famous cheater's monologue. I'd heard about it from friends, read it in books, seen it in movies, but nothing prepares you for hearing those exact words come out of your wife's mouth. "You stopped noticing me." Unreal. "I didn't stop noticing you, Emily," I said. "You just stopped being the woman I married." That one stung. Good. I walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer, and pulled out the manila folder I'd prepared the day after discovering the texts. Bank records. Call logs. Screenshots. A printed copy of every message between her and Mark. All laid out in perfect order. I slid it across the table. "Read it. You'll need to explain some of this to the divorce lawyer." She turned pale. Picked up a few pages, her hands shaking. "You were spying on me? You were cheating on me." Silence. Then she slammed the folder shut. "You're disgusting. Going through my private stuff like a psycho. No wonder I needed someone else." That right there was the final nail. I didn't even flinch. I just turned, walked upstairs, and started packing a bag. Not because I was leaving the house, hell no. I bought that place. Paid for every inch of it. She could leave. I was just packing because I knew the next few days would be war, and I needed my armor. As I zipped the duffel, she stood in the doorway, arms crossed, leaning against the frame like she had the upper hand. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To see a lawyer." "And then what?" she mocked. "You think you're gonna start over at your age? Good luck finding someone who wants a bitter old man with baggage." I smiled. Better to be alone than lied to by the woman I gave my life to. And then I walked out. Not to run. Not to hide. But to start fighting back. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, no. That stage had passed the moment she laughed in my face. I stayed up because my mind was a storm, calculating, planning, preparing for the next move. This wasn't going to be some emotional meltdown where I begged her to stay or cried into a bottle of whiskey. No, Emily made it clear who she was, and I was about to show her who I could become. The next morning, I made calls. Divorce attorney. Financial advisor. Private investigator. I wasn't playing defense anymore, I was going on the offensive. If she thought this was going to be a clean split, with me handing her half of everything while she rode off into the sunset with Mark, she had another thing coming. By noon, I had a meeting booked with someone who specialized in high-asset divorce cases and infidelity clauses. She'd cheated, and in our prenup, thank God I had the foresight to agree to one back then, infidelity meant she got less. A lot less. At 3 p.m., I got a call from the PI I'd hired the day after discovering the messages. He'd followed her 2 nights ago. Tracked her car to a downtown hotel. Room 506. He had photos. Videos. Time stamps. All of it. I looked through the folder, every image stabbing at my chest like a cold blade. Her, wrapped in a red coat, entering the hotel. Mark arriving 12 minutes later, smirking like he just won the lottery. Them walking out hours later, smiling like teenagers skipping school. I saved every file to a flash drive labeled proof. I wasn't going to let her twist the narrative. If she wanted war, I'd bring fire. Later that night, I came home early. She wasn't there. Again. No message, no call. Just absence. I sat on the couch, waiting. Not with anger. With calculation. She walked in around 11 p.m., surprised to see me still up. "Oh, you're home," she said casually, kicking off her heels. "Yep," I said, flipping off the TV. "How was book club?" She stiffened. Just for a second. "Fine." "Why?" "No reason. Just curious what chapter involved you walking into the Marriott with Mark." Silence. Her face didn't crumble. She didn't deny it. Instead, she scoffed. "You really hired someone to follow me? Jesus, Daniel. That's pathetic." "You're right," I said, standing. "It is pathetic. Pathetic that I ever thought you were loyal. Pathetic that I ever trusted you." She rolled her eyes. "It's not like I've been happy either. And instead of talking to me, you decided to get your validation between hotel sheets." She didn't even blink. "I needed to feel something again," she said. "Mark made me feel like I mattered." "You mattered to me," I replied. "But clearly, that wasn't enough." "No," she snapped, "it wasn't. That was the raw truth. No filter. No fake tears. Just venom. And somehow, that hurt worse than anything else she'd said." I turned away, gripping the edge of the dining table, steadying myself. "You really are a piece of work," I muttered. She walked past me, heading upstairs. "Do what you want, Daniel. Get your lawyer. Take your proof. Ruin me. I don't care anymore." "Oh, I'm not going to ruin you," I said under my breath. "I'm going to expose you." She paused at the top of the stairs, glancing back. "No one's going to take your side. I'll tell them you were cold, distant, boring. I'll play the victim. People love that story." I looked up at her. "That's fine. Tell your story. But remember, mine comes with receipts." She vanished into the bedroom, slamming the door. And that was it. The gloves were off. I wasn't just divorcing her, I was going to dismantle every illusion she'd ever built. Because for 30 years, I was the nice guy. But now? Now I was done being nice. 2 days later, the first lawyer meeting was done. His name was Greg Thompson, sharp, calm, and knew how to cut through the mess without wasting time. The moment I showed him the prenup, the hotel photos, and the printed messages, he leaned back in his chair and gave me the one thing I hadn't felt in weeks: control. "She has no legal leverage if we push this hard," he said. "You have proof. You've got the documentation. And with this clause," he tapped the infidelity section, "she'll walk away with barely a third of what she thinks she's owed." I nodded. "I want her served within the week." He smiled. "Done." By Friday morning, the paperwork was filed. And that same evening, as Emily was on the phone, probably gossiping with one of her fake friends about how I was being dramatic, a knock came at the door. She opened it. A woman handed her an envelope. "You've been served," she said, calm and professional. I stood behind her in the hallway. She spun around, face drained. "Are you serious? You're actually doing this?" "Dead serious," I said, arms crossed. "Consider this the consequence of your little, one-night adventure." She threw the envelope at me like a child having a tantrum. "You really want everyone to know about this? What about our kids, Daniel? What about the people at church? Our neighbors? You should have thought about that before you started booking hotel rooms under a fake name. God, you're so vindictive." "No, Emily. I'm just finally awake." She stormed out, keys in hand. I didn't follow her. I knew exactly where she was going. "Mark. The human trash bin in a cheap suit. But that was fine. Let her go crying to him, he wouldn't be able to handle half of what was coming. The next twist? The next day, I went to the gym. Needed to get my head clear. On my way out, a guy stopped me. Early 40s, beard, looked like he wanted to say something but didn't know how. "You're Emily's husband, right?" "Was," I said flatly. He grimaced. "Look, man, I probably should have told you this earlier, but your wife, she's been messing around with more than just Mark." I stared at him. "What?" "Yeah. I work maintenance at her office building. I've seen her sneaking around with the regional manager too, Phil something. Caught them together in the parking garage, like, 3 weeks ago. Not the first time either." I didn't say anything. Just stared through him like glass. How many? How far back? How much of my life was just a damn lie? I nodded, thanked him, and left. I got in the car, sat there for a solid 5 minutes, fists clenched on the wheel. It wasn't even sadness anymore. It was disgust. She wasn't sorry. Not even close. She was just pissed she got caught. And the more I found out, the more I realized this wasn't about one mistake, it was about who she'd become. A manipulator. A liar. A master of deceit who had taken my loyalty and stomped on it like garbage. So I did the one thing she never expected, I told our kids the truth. That night, I sat down with them, Josh and Megan. Both in their 20s, both living out of state, but they deserved to hear it from me before she spun her twisted version of the story. I showed them the photos. The texts. I didn't go into graphic detail, but I gave them enough. Josh looked heartbroken. Megan cried. "I can't believe Mom would do this," she whispered. "She already did," I said. "And I'm not going to pretend anymore." It wasn't about revenge now. It was about reclaiming my name. My dignity. And letting everyone, especially her, see that I wasn't the naive husband she thought she could keep in the dark forever. It was Saturday morning when Emily returned. She came through the front door like she still owned the place, like the past week hadn't happened. Sunglasses on, hair perfectly styled, like she'd just come back from brunch with friends. But I knew exactly where she'd been. Mark's place, or his motel room, more likely. I didn't say anything. I just watched. She dropped her bag at the door, kicked off her heels, and casually made her way to the kitchen. "There any coffee left?" I nearly laughed. Like we were still some normal couple in a normal marriage. Like the papers on the table, the betrayal, the humiliation, it was all just background noise. "Nope," I said without looking up from the laptop. "But there's a divorce agreement with your name on it." She spun around, leaning against the counter. "Cute. Still trying to act tough?" "No. Just acting like a man who's finally done being played." She smirked. "Keep telling yourself that." I stood, grabbed the folder, and tossed it onto the island. "You've got until Monday to look it over. After that, it's court." She didn't move. Just stared at it like it was some kind of trap. "You're really willing to air out our dirty laundry like this? Drag the whole family through it? You already did that when you climbed into bed with someone who isn't your husband." Silence. For once, she didn't have a comeback. I walked past her, ready to get out before I said something worse. But then she said it, the line that made my blood boil. "Daniel, you never made me feel wanted." Not like they did. They. Plural. That was it. I turned around. "So it wasn't just Mark?" She shrugged. "What does it matter now?" "It matters because I need to know exactly how long I've been living with a stranger." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't turn this into some sob story. You checked out years ago." "I just moved on first." "Moved on?" I barked. "You were still sleeping in my bed while moving on. You still let me kiss you, cook for you, love you, while screwing half the damn office." Her face twisted, but she didn't deny it. She didn't care. She thought she held all the cards, that her manipulation would save her one more time. But this time, the mask was off. I leaned in, voice low, deadly calm. You know what hurts the most? I wasn't even mad at first. I thought maybe we could fix it. But then I saw who you really are. Not someone who made a mistake. Not someone who slipped. You're a professional liar. And the worst kind of coward. She flinched, but it was slight. Her pride was stronger than her conscience. Good luck, Emily, I said, grabbing my keys. You're going to need it when the world finds out who you really are. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. Because that door was closed now, permanently. What came next wasn't about pain anymore. It was about power. I had the documents, the truth, the lawyer, the plan. She had a web of lies and a reputation hanging by a thread. And I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to rebuild, smarter, stronger, and without a single trace of the woman who burned down 30 years of love for a few nights of cheap thrills. The illusion was gone. The war had turned. And now? It was time for the reckoning. Monday morning came with a different kind of energy. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't sad. I was clear. I was focused. While Emily was still upstairs pretending our house was her castle, I was outside tearing down her little empire, one stone at a time. At 9 a.m. sharp, I sat across from Greg, my lawyer. Let's move forward, I said. Serve her the final version. No more waiting. He slid the finalized divorce papers across the table. She's going to hate this. I'm counting on it. By noon, the document was in her hands, official, sealed, unshakable. She barely looked at it. Just tossed it aside like it was a restaurant menu. That was her way, never take anything seriously until it blew up in her face. Only this time, I made sure the explosion would be nuclear. I'd kept quiet long enough. I didn't want revenge for the sake of spite. I wanted exposure. So I called up our close circle, family, friends, even a few people from her job. Emily and I are separating, I told each of them. She's been seeing someone else. Actually, multiple people. Some of them gasped. Others were dead silent. A few had the nerve to say, we always wondered. I didn't stop there. I uploaded a post to our shared Facebook page, our once perfect digital love story. No details. No venom. Just one photo of our wedding day and a simple caption. 30 years of loyalty. Thrown away for one night. Divorce in process. I deserve better. I wasn't prepared for what followed. Dozens of comments. Private messages. Friends I hadn't heard from in years reached out. What happened? Are you okay? I had no idea she was like that. And then, quietly, privately, others began sharing stories. Turns out, Emily had been playing this game for years. One woman told me she saw her kissing a man outside a conference in 2017. Another said she caught Emily in a flirty dinner with someone who wasn't me in 2019. I even got a message from someone who used to work in her office. Apparently, Mark wasn't the first affair, just the most recent. My world shattered again, but this time it wasn't sadness, it was rage. Not loud, screaming rage. Just that deep, smoldering fury that sits in your bones and changes the way you walk forever. When Emily realized the word had gotten out, she flipped. She stormed downstairs, red in the face, shaking with fury. What the hell did you tell people? The truth. You're ruining my life, Daniel. No. You did that all on your own. I'm just finally giving your lies a mirror. She threw a vase at the wall. It shattered, just like her fantasy of escaping all this without consequences. You're cruel, she hissed. I made a mistake. No, I said, standing tall, my voice cold and solid. You made dozens. And now? I'm done cleaning up your mess. She left the house that night, duffel bag, no apology, no dignity. Mark was probably waiting with open arms and an empty brain. Let him deal with her now. Let him carry the weight of a woman who couldn't stay loyal for 30 weeks, let alone 30 years. I sat in the silence after she left. Not empty. Not broken. Free. And it felt damn good. The fallout wasn't over yet. But for the first time in a long time, I could see the sky again. Because the kingdom she built on lies had finally come crashing down. It had been a week since she left. No texts. No apologies. Not even a question about the house or the divorce papers. Nothing. I thought it would feel like an empty silence. Instead, it was peaceful. I could hear myself think again. No more walking on eggshells. No more trying to figure out if her smile was fake, or if her late nights were real. I could finally breathe in my own home. The first thing I did? I changed the locks. Petty? Maybe. But after everything she pulled, I wasn't about to let her waltz back in like she still had keys to my world. I even boxed up her remaining things, makeup, clothes, perfume bottles, and left them on the porch with a note. Don't call. Don't text. I'm done cleaning up after your mess. The next few days brought something unexpected, freedom. I started waking up early again, hitting the gym, grabbing coffee without rushing. I started playing guitar again. Something I hadn't touched in years because Emily always said it was too noisy or a waste of time. I didn't realize how much of myself I'd let rot to keep her happy. Friends started dropping by. Josh and Megan called more often. Megan even visited one weekend, just to check on Dad. We made breakfast together like we used to when she was a kid, laughing over burnt pancakes and too strong coffee. Mom doesn't deserve you, she said at one point, voice low. She didn't, I replied. But I let her pretend she did for too long. I wasn't bitter anymore. I was awake. And then came the message. Late at night. From an unknown number. 3 words. Can we talk? I knew it was her. I didn't respond. An hour later. I miss you. Please. Still, I said nothing. And then she called. I let it ring. And ring. And ring. Finally, curiosity got the better of me. I answered, silent. Daniel? Her voice was soft. Too soft. The voice of a woman who realized her backup plan didn't come with long-term benefits. I made a mistake, she whispered. You made many. I didn't know what I was thinking. I thought Mark, she choked. He's not who I thought he was. Neither were you. Silence. I don't want to lose everything. You already did. Her voice cracked. Can't we just try again? No, I said, calm and final. You didn't just cheat on me. You humiliated me. Lied to me. Treated me like a fool. And then you laughed in my face when I caught you. I was scared, she said weakly. You were selfish. I still love you. I let out a bitter chuckle. No, Emily. You love comfort. You love safety. And you thought I'd always be there when your games fell apart. But I'm not your backup plan anymore. Click. I hung up. And for the first time since this entire hellstorm started, I felt completely free. Not just from her. But from every lie I convinced myself was normal. From the excuses. From the fake smiles. From the version of me that put her needs above his own worth. I wasn't that man anymore. I was better. Stronger. Wiser. And being alone didn't feel like a punishment. It felt like the beginning of something real. Because I would rather rebuild from the ground up, brick by brick, scar by scar, than ever again live under the roof of someone who saw my love as disposable. 2 months later, I stood in the very same living room where my entire life had shattered, and smiled. Not a fake smile. Not a forced one. A real one. The kind that comes after walking through a fire and making it out not just alive, but sharper. Tougher. Cleaner. The divorce was finalized that morning. Emily walked out of the courthouse without saying a word. No apology. No glance back. Just her heels clicking on the concrete as she rushed to her car, as if she could outrun the mess she made. She left with far less than she'd planned, both legally and emotionally. Mark? Gone. Turned out he was never looking for a wife, just a distraction. According to someone at her job, he ghosted her once the fallout began. Classic coward. She thought she'd upgrade. All she did was downgrade her life and expose herself for who she really was. Meanwhile, I had changed everything. I repainted the house. Tossed out every piece of furniture that reminded me of her. New couch. New sheets. I even turned her old yoga room into a personal gym. Felt good to sweat out the anger. The weight room became therapy. Iron never lied to me. I traveled for the first time in years. Solo trip. Mountains, quiet lakes, no schedule. Just me and a duffel bag. I took my time, hiked to the edge of cliffs, watched the sun set with no one nagging about dinner plans or phone calls. I remembered who I was before I lost myself in trying to fix someone who never wanted to be fixed. Josh called to say he was proud of me. Megan sent me a framed photo of the two of us cooking together. I put it on the shelf near the kitchen where that picture of Emily used to be. Everything had shifted. And I had no regrets. People kept asking how I held it together. My answer was always the same: you don't hold it together, you rebuild from what's left. The truth is, betrayal changes you. Not just in the obvious ways. It makes you colder in some places, sharper in others. You stop tolerating disrespect. You start noticing red flags in people's voices, not just their actions. You learn how valuable your peace really is, and how cheaply you once gave it away. But most importantly, you learn to respect yourself again. I don't know what Emily does now. I don't care. Let her chase another illusion. I've got my own path now, one that doesn't involve begging someone to love me the right way. One that doesn't involve explaining to someone why honesty matters. One where I walk alone, maybe for a while, maybe forever, but with my head high. And if anyone out there is going through what I did, let me say this. You don't need to beg someone to stay. You don't need to hold on to a marriage out of fear of starting over. You don't need to keep forgiving a person who keeps choosing to hurt you. Let them go. Let the house fall. And then rebuild something better. Because the moment you stop chasing what broke you, is the moment you start becoming who you were always meant to be. My name is Daniel. I was married for 30 years. And I lost everything I thought mattered. Only to find out, it was never worth keeping.